Today, we're going to break down a really interesting concept called the Solo Human NK Entry Blueprint. Basically, it's a new kind of digital blueprint designed for one person, a solo human, to create and build things without all the usual roadblocks. Let's dive right in.
So the whole idea really kicks off with this question. It's aimed at anyone out there who feels like, hey, I've got the skills, I've got the drive, but you feel held back by the current systems. The platforms, the gatekeepers, always needing someone's permission to do something. If that rings a bell, then you're exactly who this was designed for.
This quote right here, this is the core philosophy. It's a huge shift in thinking. It's not about your credentials or your job title or what you own. It's about what you're willing to do, what you're willing to be a part of. This idea is really the foundation for everything we're about to look at. All right, so first, let's set the stage. We're going to take a look at what we're calling the pre-Inkai reality. This is the world that the capable but constrained person is living in right now.
So who exactly is this solo human? Well, it's not one specific job title. It's more of a state of being, It could be a freelancer trying to make it work, someone who's between jobs, a student, a creator, really any motivated person who feels a bit stuck or is just searching for their next move. The point is, this is about your potential, not just what's on your resume.
And this slide really lays out the digital dilemma we're all facing. On the left, you've got the current reality, juggling a million different apps, your data's owned by giant platforms, and you're always relying on some middleman. But on the right, you see the alternative, one integrated place where you actually own your identity and you can create value directly and securely. It's a pretty stark contrast.
Okay, so that brings us to the solution, the NKAI entry. And I want you to notice the language here. It's not about signing up for another service. It's about entering a totally new environment that's built from the ground up for participation.
And this is a huge deal. The key to getting in is that there are no barriers. You're not being sold to, you're not getting locked into some long contract. You just enter, and that completely changes the game. You stop being a customer, and you start being a true participant.
And when you enter, you're not just thrown into an empty room. You get this powerful starting toolkit. First, you've got Max, who's like your personal AI guide. Then there's the Forge. Think of it as your creative sandbox. You also get agents, which are like on-demand experts for specific tasks. And finally, you get a secure cryptographic identity, which makes sure that you, and only you, own everything you create.
And get this, all of it is available the second you step in, for free. You get a guide, a safe space to create, access to incredible tools, and true ownership of your work from day one. The whole point is to remove all the friction and just let you start building.
So that all sounds great in theory, right? But what does this actually look like in practice? Let's walk through what a typical day inside the Forge might be like, just to see how these tools actually come together.
So, this timeline here gives us a simple roadmap for our story. It all starts in the morning with your intention, then moves into creation, then a potential action out in the world, and it wraps up with proof and growth. Let's walk through it.
The day doesn't start with a to-do list or a bunch of notifications. It starts with your intent. You just open up the environment, have a conversation with your guide, Max, and maybe you just say something really simple, really aspirational like, I want to build something. Or, hey, maybe your intent is a little more pointed. Maybe it comes from past frustrations. You could say something like, I want to earn without being exploited. The key here is you're expressing a goal, a real desire, not just clicking buttons on a screen.
And this is where the trust really gets built. Max isn't there to upsell you on new features or push a product. Its job is to listen, to understand where you're coming from, and to help you figure out a path forward. It's a guide, not a salesman.
So next up is midday, and we're inside the Forge. This is where the magic happens, where you take that intent from the morning and start making it real. You could be drafting a website, writing a proposal, and for any specialized help, you can just call on these agents, like a research agent to pull data for you, or a web agent to help structure a site.
Now this is a really important point. You are always in the driver's seat. These agents are super powerful, for sure, but they're not autonomous. You are the authority. You set the direction. You give them their constraints. Think of yourself as the architect, and they are your specialized, high-powered tools.
Okay, so if all this creation is free, you're probably wondering, how does this whole thing actually work financially? Well, this next section explains the economics of it all, what happens when value leaves the system.
Just to be perfectly 100% clear, the cost to think, to learn,
To build, to create anything you want inside the Forge is zero, zilch. There are no subscriptions, no usage fees while you're in there working on your ideas.
The entire economic model boils down to one simple, single rule. A cost only happens when you take something you've made and deliver it to the outside world. So it's not a tax on your creativity, it's a cost for external delivery.
And here are some real-world examples of what that external action might look like. Maybe you're securely sending that proposal you wrote to a client, or you're publishing the website you designed, or delivering a final project to a business. These are the moments when value crosses that boundary from your private space out into the world.
And here's the kicker. Even when a transaction does happen, the whole model is built on transparency. This isn't like some opaque platform fee or hidden charges you don't understand. Any cost is explained clearly, it's tied to a very specific purpose, and you understand the why before you ever commit. No surprises.
And all of this brings us to the final and maybe the most important part of the blueprint, the transformation. Because this isn't just about using some new tools, it's about fundamentally changing how you operate in the digital world.
This journey here shows the whole arc. You might start in a more passive state, like being between jobs, but just by showing up and participating, you become a creator. And as you build and deliver value, you evolve into something more, an active, independent, value-creating, operating node in the entire network.
And so we end right back where we started, with a question. This entire blueprint, top to bottom, is designed to get rid of the gatekeepers and the middlemen that are always standing in our way. It asks us to just imagine, what if our ability to create and contribute wasn't limited by needing someone else's approval? It leaves us with this one really powerful thought. What could you truly achieve if you no longer had to ask for permission?